The problem with comics publishers is that most of the major publishers are not explicitly designing stuff for a YA audience, and the major book publishers that make graphic novels for the YA market have a tough time getting that kind of through the diamond filter, more or less.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Let me tell you one reason I was happy that I came in today.
Okay.
Today is Thursday, as we're recording. It is our I Love You But I've Chosen Comics 25% off store-wide sale. I've been posting about it on social media platforms.
Cool.
Of course. I did an Instagram post this morning of Kent and I saying something about these two handsomely dressed idiots are here to save you money. While the sale goes through Tuesday, only on this day will Kent and Patrick be working together.
It's true.
We got a phone call from somebody who is new in the neighborhood, has never been to the store, wanted to buy over the phone a bunch of graphic novels for the sale.
Okay.
So we did.
Cool.
He told me what he wanted. I pulled him. I suggested other things. He bought one more trade, rang him up, put him aside. He's going to come in sometime this weekend, he hopes, but he's never been in the store before. But he saw the Instagram photo, and that spurred him to call, and he wants to support the store because he's heard of the store.
Oh, okay.
And he's very excited to actually be in the store, but he just wanted to make sure that if he doesn't make it in for the sale, he still helped.
Great.
And I attribute that solely to that Instagram post.
It sounds that way.
Yeah, and this is somebody who has the potential to, make Challengers their store.
That's great.
Which is a thing that's neat that we're finding people doing. And I have been a little more worried than you have about the snow that's happening this weekend.
Yeah.
Which, at the time this episode goes up, we'll still have a couple more days of snow, but nothing as purportedly as big as we're supposed to get. And that brought back memories of the 2011 snowstorm.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't that.
I mean, this is going to be big, though.
Okay.
You're so willing to dismiss it.
It's the weather, man. Like, and on top of that, it's February in Chicago. Like, I'm not saying that an abnormal amount of snow can dissuade people from going out and making purchases and whatever, but you're treating it like people are going to be shivering with their loved ones in a bathtub, praying to the snow gods that everything is the same on Monday as it was on Thursday. And I don't think it's going to be that bad.
All Chicago public schools are already closed.
Sure.
Which is not a thing they do.
No, look, it's going to snow, yes, but I don't think it's... Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad.
I think you're saying that because you don't have to work the next couple days.
I don't have to work the next couple days, but that's not why I'm saying it. I'm always leery of the weather's so bad the business is going to die. I did $600 on a day where the city of Chicago was telling people it is too cold to exist outside.
Yes, but that wasn't a sale day.
Because when you say that and people don't have to go into work and schools are closed, people are like, well, now what? And Netflix was a thing on this other cold day, but people were still like, I don't know, I'm going to go out shopping.
Okay. Well, Dal, I hope I'm wrong.
Sure, I hope you're wrong too.
What would you like to talk about on this podcast?
Oh, golly. Comic books and the business of selling comic books, since we're a comics business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network.
Here in Chicago. Okay.
Oh, I don't have any topics in mind. I was just giving you like a general
theme
I
see.
That you could...
I see.
You could talk about things from that, and then I would respond to them, as is our standard.
I was talking about a business concern. So we did a bunch of DC news last week.
We did.
And then immediately after that, DC had more announcements.
I can't remember. What were the more announcements?
DC Zoom and DC Ink.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're younger readers and YA launches. Zoom, I believe, is their younger readers line, and Ink is their YA line.
Yeah. We know good friends of Challengers that are involved in both aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Norton with Mara on the YA line, the Ink line, and Art Balthazar and Franco for the Zoom line.
Yeah, the Superman of Smallville, I think, is the Art and Franco line.
But basically, this is a step toward the book market for DC to have these separate lines of graphic novels that each Zoom and Ink have a dedicated page count, a dedicated price point.
Yeah.
And they're reaching out to YA authors and creators who have this type of experience. But it's consideration for the book market,
mm-hmm.
but specifically for us and for Sidekicks, I think these books are going to do great.
The Zoom line, I think, for us a little bit more than the Ink line. We've still not quite managed to crack the YA nut as far as taking those books and making them as successful as they should be. It's because
we don't do anything with it. We don't have a YA section.
We could, I guess.
But we can't because you didn't allow for that.
I could. I mean, it's fine. Sorting graphic novels is fine. It's fine.
Would you be able to use the same...
I don't know.
Diamond... algorithms to...
No. I'd have to essentially pull from scratch from different sections.
Okay.
And I guess the problem is that one of the problems with doing a YA section in graphic novels is that in book publishing, YA is a mature category. There are books explicitly designed for a YA market because YA is a very hot genre right now for books.
Can you define the way you're using mature?
I mean, it's a large segment of books out.
Okay, it's a fully realized.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like a name someone just made up last season.
Right,
it is,
but you don't mean salacious.
No, I mean mature in the sense of development. Like it is a developed line, and it branding something as YA is a great way to get stores to stock it because YA continues to be a very hot element of book publishing. The problem with comics publishers is that most of the major publishers are not explicitly designing stuff for a YA audience, and the major book publishers that make graphic novels for the YA market have a tough time getting that kind of through the Diamond filter, more or less. They'll be offered, but Diamond won't really stock them long term, and there's not a great way of using Diamond to sort of promote YA as a specific genre. So we would really have to go through and look at stuff and say, okay, would we consider this YA? And a lot of it would have to be double racking, which is a problem. Because we'd want to have stuff like Squirrel Girl inside, the larger superhero genre. Right. But Squirrel Girl has been one that's been brought up as a very successful kind of YA graphic novel series. So, I mean, I'd like to, but I don't know if comics-wise, there certainly isn't... and maybe someone out there from First Second is pulling their hair out hearing me say this. I don't know if there's enough explicitly YA material in graphic novels to do an entire section of. I was at a panel that was put on at Comics Pro's annual meeting in 2017 where they were talking about the idea of, comic stores should have a YA section. And they did have a list of, these are books that can go in your YA section, but for our purposes, I don't know if 2 or 3 shelves worth of stuff is worth doing a section for. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. Maybe we should be subdividing everything into much smaller, more specific categories and doing things instead of a bookshelf's worth of stuff. We should be saying, a shelf's worth of stuff.
What if we gave it a wall in Sidekick so we could put things face out?
We could. I don't know if that's a great idea, mostly because in the same way that you had kind of objected to putting the manga stuff in there, I don't know if putting stuff in there that is not for that audience, that starts to be for an older teen audience, I don't want to put Super Mutant Magic Academy in Sidekicks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's content in there that is not appropriate for kids that are picking up volumes of Amulet or Smile or, they're not quite old enough for that material yet. And it could be difficult for, especially because we don't necessarily monitor Sidekicks when families are in there, to go, oh no, not that one. Please don't pick up that.
And that's the books that they will find first.
Oh, sure, always. Yeah, I mean, you were right to say that the manga stuff shouldn't be in there, because, inevitably some kid who's looking at a Yu-Gi-Oh graphic novel is going to go, "What's Death Note?" And it's like,
Mommy, I want Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service.
Sure,
Perfect, Billy, it's for you.
Kids got to learn about my lesbian experience with loneliness at some point, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think for us, I mean, for me, when I was looking at the lineup of books, I'm like, Zoom, yes, Ink, we'll stock them for sure. Hopefully that draws something in. But while I'm glad to see DC doing graphic novel lines that are for a larger audience than just kind of the direct market clientele that wants Batman and Superman stuff, the Earth 1 graphic novels. I worry a little bit because, and this isn't their fault, the last time they really tried something like this was the Minx line. And the Minx line was misbegotten, I guess we'd say.
Yeah, but the Minx line was marketed just to comic stores.
But that wasn't their initial intent. I mean, it was supposed to be, I guess the problem was that they were doing kind of YA stuff before YA was a fully developed category. Like, they were pitching more at, like, the chick-lit audience.
Sure, but also, those were all original properties, and these are all DC characters.
But, I mean, those original properties, they were doing the same thing. They were reaching out to authors. They were looking at people who had success in, prose, and said, come do graphic novels. And they worked with good artists, and they took some other comic writers that could cross over a little bit. And some of it was just that, and the CMX line, I think, was their manga line that DC was doing, were both things that were part of a push into the book market that DC got real cold feet on right away.
Right, but they also didn't use superheroes.
No. I'm curious how much that's going to be the game changer. I mean, I guess it's entirely possible. Certainly, the appeal of something like Runaways is, not just kind of the teen and YA trappings of the characters so much as it's, they have superpowers and stuff, Would Hunger Games have been as successful if it didn't have all the weird dystopian sci-fi stuff to it? If it was just about, like, a poor girl making her way in the world or whatever, like, no, but, you make them fight to the death and people get real excited about that. Teens get real into that idea. So yeah, I hope that the Zoom and the Ink stuff is successful. I like the list of stuff they've rattled off so far. I hope that now that they're pitching stuff at markets that are fully developed, again, the YA stuff, but also we've pointed again and again to the success of stuff like First Second and Scholastic's graphics line, and kind of said, why aren't Marvel and DC doing something with this? Why are they kind of falling backwards into it with certain projects when they could be really exploiting it? The fact that something like Gotham Academy existed and didn't find the same success as any number of Scholastic and Macmillan properties is like, it's Hogwarts in Gotham City. Like,
yeah.
How is that not $1 million idea? So maybe we'll see some of that stuff come back. I know that, like, the guys who are doing the superhero society stuff are going to be doing a thing for Zoom.
Okay.
Dustin Wing and Derek Friedholz.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, plenty of interesting stuff in there. I definitely think we could do well with it, and I hope the direct market finds some value in it. Maybe they're more likely to stock it now that, like you said, it's all superhero stuff. Maybe stores that don't usually do a lot of that stuff will take a chance on it because it's like, well, Teen Titans, Mira, Superman, carry that, sure.
I do question their use of the word Zoom, because Zoom for me will always be
Professor Zoom.
No, not even that. The kids show from the 70s. There was Zoom and Electric Company.
Oh, I don't know Zoom. Sorry.
Maybe it was regional. I don't know. It's definitely not around, I guess, when you were a kid.
No. Yeah, I mean, Electric Company I sort of know, but not a lot.
So those are things that DC is doing to try to expand readership. Let's talk about what Marvel's doing to try to expand readership.
What's Marvel doing, Patrick? I genuinely don't know.
Cramming everything Infinity Countdown related down your throats.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I had a picture of the checklist.
Yeah, it's a substantial amount of material. It's the Infinity Countdown
Adam Warlock.
Warlock that just came out. The Infinity Countdown Prime that's coming out like next week or the week after.
Wasn't there a prelude? Is that
Prime is the prelude?
Okay.
Technically, the prelude was like 5 issues of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure.
Then it's the Infinity Countdown 5-issue series.
Mm-hmm.
It takes place over about 4 months. And then it's like one-shots for Daredevil, Captain Marvel maybe, and somebody else. And then a 4-issue Darkhawk series and a 2-issue Champion series.
Yeah.
It's a lot of material.
It's a lot of material for an idea that was just supposed to be a Guardians of the Galaxy story.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like they're trying to milk it, like they're trying to pad this.
Sure.
And I know that the Infinity Gems play a role in this year's...
The what now, Patrick?
What did I say?
You said Infinity Gems.
Infinity Stones?
There you go. Got to get our branding right.
Infinity Gauntlet? Infinity Crusade? Infinity War? Infinity.
They're stones now, Patrick.
They're Philosopher Stones.
Uh-huh.
And then they want to do something with that, but they all used to be the same shape and size. Now they're all different sizes.
Sure.
One of them is the size of a building.
Yep.
And Drax is guarding it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't... is that how Wolverine is getting to all the different comics he's visiting? He's using the Space Gem?
Maybe.
Because he literally has the Space Gem.
He does.
So I wonder if he's just using that to...
Well, he's also got a truck, so he's probably using that too.
But he should be his timing should be better if he has the gem.
Yeah, his timing is...
Although he doesn't have the time gem.
Ridiculous.
I can't name all 6 stones, nor can I name all 6 colors.
See if I can do all 6.
And I definitely can't name the 6 stones and the 6 colors correctly.
They've changed the colors a few times to match the movies. Mind, soul, space, time, power,
height, weight, volume.
No.
Rock and roll.
Okay, so space, time, mind, soul, power. God, what is the 5th one? Look it up.
Oh, there's 6.
Yeah.
How many did you have? I thought you had 5.
I thought I had 5 too.
Yeah. You're missing
space,
1.
time, mind, soul, power. And then there's the 6th one that reality. Reality is the 6th one.
Okay. So I was close.
Yeah.
Height, weight, volume, those are all parts of reality.
They are, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
now the
arguing
colors. Go.
No, they've changed a bunch of times.
No, it's easy.
I don't care.
Purple, green, yellow, orange, red, blue.
Is that Lucky Charms colors? Is that
Yes, it's green reality, red time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember all the gems to do that, to do it as Lucky Charms. I, of course, I can't remember if it was Kent's joke or my joke, but my own Infinity Gauntlet is powered by...
Cocoa Pebbles?
No. The second half of the word is right.
Pebbles?
No.
Oh, stones?
Uh-huh.
Kidney stones.
So, how are they selling replica Infinity Gauntlets for the movie when these stones are all different sizes?
Well, in the comics, they're different sizes. In the movie, it seems like they're all going to be relatively gauntlet-shaped.
Yeah, but the one... Oh, because it's in Vision's head now. It was the top of Loki's staff.
Well, it was inside Loki's staff.
Okay.
Like, that was the thing. Like, the exterior was not the gem. It was a little bit inside.
So, it was the mosquito, and Loki's staff was the amber.
Sure.
Something like that, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see how anyone who watches the movie will be interested in that. But it's
never been the case.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But this, I mean, it's got nothing to do with the movie except it's about the stones.
And this is the frustrating thing because it's been Marvel's problem the last few years. There's this idea of, well, this movie's coming out, so we need to have a comic for that movie, that character, that storyline. And it feels so derivative that I wonder if that is the message that's going out to fans. Is they're just like, I saw Infinity War, I don't need to read a comic that's like Infinity War, but not. You know? I just watched a movie of them fighting Thanos. I don't need to read a 5-issue comic series where they're fighting Thanos again. And the larger movie audience historically, track record, proven, to not care about it. So it's not like there's going to be a flood of people coming in April like, what do you got with Infinity Stones? They don't care. They're going to go see the movie in May. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really, really wish that Marvel as a publisher could get away from just aping whatever Marvel Studios has in the pipeline. I get having collections of material available. You absolutely, as a publisher, should have things like Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity, Thanos Quest, Thanos Rising in print. Sure, people come in, they're like, hey, I'm really excited about Thanos as a character. What's his deal? Bam, bam, bam. You got all these great books. But those people are not coming in, have not ever come in and said, what can I read week to week, month to month that's like the movie I just saw? Haven't done it. I see no reason why that's going to change in year 10 of Marvel movies. But yet, their entire publishing line has to be oriented towards that. And it's not ever seemed to be a huge success as far as continuously adding sales to titles and lines. And it seems like it's not doing any like great business for current comic fans. So if it's not serving your current audience and it's not growing your audience, why do they have to keep doing it every single year? I don't blame them for trying it back in 2008, 2009, 2010. Sure, it seemed like it was a good idea. It seemed like it could work.
If you look at DC Comics, last year they released the Wonder Woman movie and the Justice League movie. And what were their comic tie-ins?
I mean, God, was there anything? I'm trying to think.
Nothing.
Because even stuff that would have... They did the smart thing, which is, here's some graphic novels. You know, we have in print Wonder Woman through Amazon, Legend of Wonder Woman, the first volume or two, maybe, of the Wonder Woman series by Greg Rucka. And that's on top of everything else that DC keeps in print perpetually. You could read War of the Gods if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... Ugh. We didn't have to do an entire storyline in the Wonder Woman comic where she goes back to World War I and meets all the characters from the movie, you know? We didn't have to do a Justice League story where they fight Darkseid and the Parademons, because you know what? They just did that a year before, so we don't need to do it again. Yeah, oh man. And that's Marvel's whole line. Like, that's... Their big events are all derivative of their movies, so hard to care a whole lot, you know?
Well, speaking of movies...
Uh-huh. So many trailers, Pat.
There have been so many trailers out this week. I just today saw the Venom teaser.
I didn't watch it because I wasn't hugely interested in the stuff I was hearing was that it didn't really show a lot, so I thought, I'll wait till another one. Was it good? Did you like it?
It's Venom. No, I mean, actually, it's not Venom at all. It's set in San Francisco.
Okay.
You see...
Is he looking for the Zodiac Killer?
You see the symbiote in a container.
Okay.
And then you see Eddie Brock, like on a hospital gurney or something, writhing in agony, and you see black veins creeping up his neck.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Do they at least show a part where Spider-Man is swinging out of the Baxter building with a bag over his head?
They show a lot of action scenes, like Tom Hardy driving a motorcycle and cars exploding.
Okay.
They outright said it is literally a combination of Lethal Protector and War of the Symbiotes or Planet of the Symbiotes, whatever that was.
Yeah, despite not really being hugely interested in it, it's got a pedigree that I'm kind of for. It's the same guy that directed Zombieland, and the cast is pretty good. Riz Ahmed's in it, and
it might be worth getting more Lethal Protectors.
Sure.
Maybe putting on the front table.
Sure. I got nothing against that. Just came back in print.
Yep. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We'll do that. And what else? Something for Deadpool, maybe?
All the volumes of Deadpool.
Every Deadpool volume.
Let's narrow it down. Let's just do Deadpool Classics.
All the Deadpool Classics?
Just the 21 volumes of Deadpool Classics.
Okay, that's cool. That should be the whole table. That's just the whole bottom part of the table. It's
no, it's just one pile.
Oh, okay. Just one stack of 21 trades? Okay.
Well, I mean, multiple copies.
Should we just bag all 21 trades?
As one set, yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Deadpool trailer was fun.
Yeah.
It's uniquely Deadpool.
Very much so.
It's funny. It doesn't really give too much away about the movie itself.
No. It tells you Cable's in it.
Yeah, and I like that. Like, I'm watching these trailers because, A, I'm not super invested in the stories. B, so much of this won't be in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff in the Deadpool trailer can't be in the movies. It's specifically about the trailer. It's about unfinished visual effects. I don't think that's going to be a thing the movie has to worry about.
There was Jessica Jones' second trailer, which I have not seen.
Yeah, Jessica Jones' season 2 is dropping on March 8th.
Yeah. Were we going to do that real-time binge recording?
We were going to just watch the whole series of the store starting at 3 a.m.
Yeah, but record
Friday.
us watching it, so it's like a 13-hour podcast?
Yeah, I mean, we'll do it live in the store, and then we'll also record it for the podcast.
That's cool.
And we'll watch it on Twitch.
Well, people will watch us on Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can't show it, I don't think. It
Right.
would probably be terms of service violation.
What else? What other Solo, if that counts?
Yeah, I mean, there was Solo, and there was the new Infinity War commercial that aired over the Super Bowl.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, it had some new stuff in it. It was brief, though. It was only about 30 seconds. They didn't.
Okay.
It was not the sort of like big story trailer that people might have been expecting. It was a very short. Here's a bunch of superheroes who are.
You had said how weird it is to be seeing all these Avengers commercials when we're still waiting for Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther comes out next week.
And then you also said you're surprised there wasn't an Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, but I assume the Ant-Man Wasp trailer will just be in front of Black Panther, which is why they released it. It's so weird that Disney has so many big franchises having movies in 2018 that they could have done basically a different movie more or less every quarter of the Super Bowl and still had movies left over. Yeah, I mean, this year alone they've got 3 Marvel movies, they've got a Star Wars movie, they've got
A Harry Potter movie. Is that them?
No, that's Universal. They've got A Wrinkle in Time, and they've got it's. And I'm sure they've got an animated thing coming out at some point. Oh, Incredibles 2?
Yeah, Incredibles 2.
Could have done that. Didn't do that. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Disney's got a lot of things. And I'm sure even more in a couple years if the Fox deal goes through.
Well, you had even said how burned out you are on all these new trailers dropping.
Yeah, I don't have any interest whatsoever in the Jurassic World one, so I pretty much skipped that entirely. I did watch the Mission Impossible trailer, and I thought that was really good. I'm very excited for that movie. I like those films. Some of them I like more than others, but I like an old-fashioned, action stunt movie. Those are pretty cool. They don't make a lot of those anymore. Everything is very genre-inflected. This is something where it's just, it's just like a spy movie. It's just a really high-budget, well-done spy movie.
Were there any more comic property things? I'm sure.
I don't think so.
The Cloak and Dagger trailer was released a month or so ago. Not the trailer. It was just like
2 minutes of footage.
Yeah,
which I thought looked great.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been looking forward to Freeform's Cloak and Dagger series for a while. I think they're a network uniquely suited to reimagine Cloak and Dagger as something that kids in 2018, 2019 could find interesting. That said, I don't know if we're going to be putting Cloak and Dagger graphic novels on the table for when that book comes out. Because, God bless the people who were instrumental in getting that property going and telling those stories. But, I mean, I think the kids who are watching it on Freeform would read those old comics and find them hilarious, not intentionally.
Sure. What is...
I'd rather just have them read, like, the boob window comics that Kate Beaton did about Cloak and Dagger. Those are just...
Yeah.
That's more their speed.
What is... Freeform is ABC Family.
Yeah.
What is it available on?
Cable and satellite.
Okay,
and streaming
so it's
services.
not, but it's not its own streaming service.
No,
it's not like
it's a channel you get if
the
you get
upcoming
cable and
DC
satellite
stuff.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
What about
we
if
get
you
Freeform.
get YouTube TV?
I think I'm pretty sure they have Freeform.
Okay. So much comic media to consume.
It's true. I still haven't done any of Runaways. I should get around to that at some point.
Well, I mean, you don't have a Hulu account, so that's
I
probably
don't,
hard
but I
to...
could get a Hulu account. Then I could watch Runaways and everything
Sure.
else on Hulu that I should be watching.
Sure.
I almost started Altered Carbon today, but I just didn't pull the trigger on it.
What is that even about?
Oh, it's sci-fi stuff. People in the future can switch around their bodies, and someone's been murdered, and they need to find out who murdered them.
Because they're doing a serious amount of Instagram promoting for this amongst other places, but mainly it's on Instagram. And
Okay.
Is it original or is it a property?
I can't remember. I think it's original, but I could be wrong. It might be a book. It's very hard to keep track nowadays. It probably was a book. Or a series of books.
So, did you have any interest in Bright then?
No.
But that's a Netflix sci-fi.
Yeah, but it looked terrible.
With
and it's
written by a guy who you love his comic work.
Yeah, but I've disliked all of his movies that I've seen. And it's directed by a guy who the one movie of his I saw I thought was horrendous. So no interest in Bright.
Okay. Just curious. It's wildly off topic. But
sure. I feel like a lot of the reasons to watch Bright are the same reasons to watch something like the Cloverfield Paradox, which is, I don't know, you could watch it for free. You're already paying for Netflix. Just watch it, I guess. Like, that's not a good enough reason for me, is it's there and you've already paid for it. That's okay.
Was it you who told me that the 3 separate Cloverfield movies were 3 different things? They just found a way to link them?
Yeah. I was reading a thing earlier.
It wasn't an ultimate vision?
No. In fact, J.J. Abrams had said before in interviews that Cloverfield isn't like a universe so much as like basically something like like a Twilight Zone sort of thing, where if you see Cloverfield as a name of something, you know it's going to have a certain kind of storytelling, or it's going to do some kind of mysterious stuff.
Okay.
And it has some sci-fi stuff in there, but it wasn't like an edict, like this is the Cloverfield universe. And I was reading some stuff earlier today where the people who'd worked on the most recent Cloverfield movie, it was a thing that they were doing one movie, and then in the process they're like, we could make this a Cloverfield thing, and then they started trying to kind of add stuff in there to make it more Cloverfieldy. So it was a project, and the working title was God Particle. And then once it became a Cloverfield thing, they kind of said, okay, well, this is how we can build in Cloverfield stuff to make it link up to some of the other movies and feel like it's a Cloverfield project.
Okay.
And I guess unsuccessfully, in the sense that more than a few reviewers have pointed out how disjointed the story is and how much it feels like, and this is something I think the people working on it have said, is after test screenings they went in and tooled with it a whole bunch in hopes of making it better, and it did not make it better.
This movie may or may not be set in the future, so let's make a future prediction.
Okay.
Which publisher will have the rights for Cloverfield comics?
Dynamite or Boom?
I was going to say Dynamite or IDW.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like an IDW thing, but I don't know.
Alright, so then Dynamite.
Yeah, I feel like Dynamite. I don't feel like Cloverfield comics is the thing anyone's really looking for, which means someone's going to come in with a really low bid on it.
Well, is that in the same category of Jeepers Creepers comics?
Sure.
Or Pumpkinhead comics?
Yep.
Which, I mean, will be carrying Pumpkinhead because it's written by Cullen Bunn.
Okay. We can start.
And also that movie was awesome.
Okay.
I mean, you'll never watch it.
No.
Pumpkinhead!
Have a tough time with horror movies.
Good stuff.
2 times.
Good stuff. Had something else and it fled my head.
Uh-oh.
So we often talk about sales numbers, and it's not to
our detriment.
Well, that's just it. It's not. It's to inform, and because it's part of our business, it's not to say, look how terrible things are, or woe is us.
Yeah.
It's to say, hey, look at trends and whatnot. And
Sure.
we didn't hold any store events at all in January.
Yeah.
We didn't have a signing. We didn't have anything.
Sort of on purpose, but also kind of by accident. We've said before that we kind of shy away from trying to do stuff in January because the weather can be adversarial. And but at the same time, sometimes stuff drops in our laps for January. Someone's in town, someone has a book coming out, someone wants to do something. But none of that happened this time, so it was very easy for us to stick to our guns and say, no January. So
January 2018 sales were down 9.25% from January 2017 sales. And January 2017 sales were in turn down 9.38% from 2016.
Slowing our decline.
So when we had talked about 2017 as a whole being down, what was it, 6.8%?
I don't remember.
It was 6.8% for the year. And I had said, that's manageable. But that's if it stops.
Right. Yeah, a lot of our optimism for 2018 was built on the back of, well, it can't go much lower, can it?
But January was lower than we expected it to be. However, all the things that we set out to do internally, or actually externally, don't start until now.
Yeah, it took us a little while to get our ducks in a row as far as all of the various community events that we wanted to do in 2018. So February, specifically mid-February to late February, is where it just gets real dense with events. Hopefully in a way that reaches a lot of different types of comics fans.
And we talked about it in depth last week. We had the audio from the video that we produced for our social medias about the different events we have coming up. But something that I don't know if we really talked about, or we may have, I don't honestly remember, was not until later March, end of March 29th, I want to say, we have Michael Moreci coming in for a writer's workshop.
It's true, yeah.
And Michael is going to be, basically it's for beginner writers, but it's about story development, idea development, and building a pitch to, be able to get other people excited about what you're doing.
Sure.
And it is a paid event to an extent. It's not, though. Like, it's a class limited to 20 people, between 10 and 20 people, that Michael will be talking to and giving a presentation for I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours or so on a Thursday night. But the cost of the workshop is buying a copy of his first novel, Black Star Renegades, and to be buying that through us. You'll be prepaying for the book. You'll get the book the night of the class. It is already getting crazy good reviews.
It's great,
and I don't know if it's on bestseller lists, but I assume it will be as well. But that is your cost of getting into this workshop. You buy his book, and you're in.
Yeah, and it's important to know that as far as taking a class from someone about how to pitch a project and put together a project, Mike's a great guy to do that with because he's a guy who's got work at a lot of different companies. He's working currently at a few different publishers, so this is definitely someone who is speaking from experience. This is someone who has put together projects, pitched projects, gotten projects picked up from publishers. So he's someone who can give you real actionable tips for the current marketplace, not a guy who had a book out in 1985 telling you how to pitch to publishers from 1985.
Yeah, he's a guy who actively makes his living as a writer.
Yeah.
He recently wrote Superman and The Flash for DC. Mm-hmm. He has had several successful Image comics.
Yep.
And I believe he's sold properties to development in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's coming of them or so.
I could be wrong, but
no one does. It's Hollywood.
I think he's also participated in one of the DC writer workshops.
Yes, he did.
That Scott Snyder has done for DC. Yep. So again, I mean, if you want to get a presentation from someone who can speak to major publishers, what they're looking for, how they want to see work produced and developed, like he's a guy who can do that for sure.
And then a month later, we don't have a date yet, but he's got a brand new creator-owned book coming out from Vault called Wasted Space, and we'll be having him in for signing for that. But this is, I think, like Dal pointed out, he's got pedigree. He's got a long CV in comics and outside of comics. So if you have any interest in being a writer, this is something to take part in.
Yeah, and specifically if you're looking to produce work that can get picked up by major publishers, this is a guy who can get you on the track to do that. He can help you understand the best way to do that. And this event is coming up end of March?
Yeah, March 29th, I want to say. It's a Thursday.
Which, frankly, is a week, 10 days before C2E2.
Yeah.
Where there will be a lot of publishers. So if you have any interest in pitching to folks or trying to get your ideas published by major publishers, and you're planning on going to C2E2, I would definitely plan on taking this class from Mike Moreci because it's a really strong help towards your goals, basically.
And we said that the cost was the book. It's $31. Yeah. $31 gets you a copy of Black Star Renegades plus tax. Mm-hmm. Not counting the City of Chicago bag tax. Sure. If you want a bag, that's extra.
Sure, if it rains that night, sure.
Boy, I really can't wait to see how that affects our taxes because I don't know that our suburban accountant understands the bag tax.
Probably
and also, we're already in February, and it was in January 31st is when bag tax information was due last year.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's a thing. Remember, we never got anything in the mail for it last year. We had to go digging a few months later and then pay a penalty.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's something we need to be worried about, or I can't imagine why they wouldn't have had us do inventory at the January 1st as opposed to whenever. I don't know. So that's a thing to look into. I'm sorry I segued into the bag tax, but I just thought of it as we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of it. Here's another thing that I just thought of that happened, and I at least was a part of. I don't know if you were or not, but there was. Oh man, I can't remember his what he does. Like a manager for authors or something, and I can't remember his first name. His last name is Olson. Basically, this gentleman collected a ton of signatures from people within the comics industries, from creators to editors to publishers to retailers, and is petitioning the New York Times to bring back a bestseller graphic novel list.
Oh, okay.
You and I both got an email from him,
I don't remember.
like 2 emails actually, about a month or so ago, about signing his letter. So I signed it. I guess you might not have.
I do not remember this at all.
But Publishers Weekly had an article about it today.
Okay.
And it was basically saying, hey, he's doing this, but I knew it because I was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know enough to give you his name. He's got his last name. That is what I got. I was digging around Publishers Weekly a lot because I did another year-end article for them. And I feel a little bad. I've done it 4 times now, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always the same questions, but for the new year.
Uh-huh.
And it's at different points in the year. But at this point, I was so tired of talking about it.
Sure.
And the reporter said, hey, we've got extra bandwidth this year, so go in as much detail as you want.
No thanks.
Which to me says internet only, not print. Because previously it's been printed in the magazine.
Sure.
So I shortcutted this interview so much that I actually feel bad about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't elaborate.
Uh-huh.
The longest answer I had was I had like a little paragraph, and then I took a long answer that Mitchell Davies from All Star Comics in Melbourne had put on a Facebook post that I had started about sales. Mm-hmm. And I just dropped that in saying, hey, and you know, my good friend Mitchell Davies from All Star has this to say.
Wow. And
then she's like, oh my God, that was the most succinct description of the answer of a reason, like basically his answer was media overload.
Okay.
And the way he explained it, she's like, that's the best way it's been explained. Are you sure I can print this? I'm like, yeah, it was on a public post. So then she had to go back in and put a as if I said, like, my friend Mitchell Davies from All Star published this on a post about sales on my Facebook. Like she had to make sure it was
like attribute it
fully accredited to where, because she wanted, was this published anywhere? Facebook, does that count as publishing? But yeah, so that was too many back and forth emails about getting permission to that.
Sure.
And ultimately it worked out, but that article isn't up yet. But I feel bad that he put in more effort than I did without even knowing that he was
Sure.
part of it. But it's nice to be able to do that, to use somebody else and say, hey, look, this is somebody else. Listen to them. They're saying smart things as well.
Sure.
As opposed to us, who we just say dumb things, I guess.
Yep.
Or, we ramble on. But you and I aren't going to ramble on anymore.
No.
I will. I'm turning this over to a remote interview that I did. So, here I am. This is like being on remote, because I'm not in the normal Challengers studio to record this, nor am I in Challengers proper itself. Instead, I am at Nakama Toys on California in Logan Square, and I'm with store's owner, Mary Warren. Hi, Mary.
Hi!
So what, if someone's never been to Nakama Toys before, what is it?
Nakama Toys is a super nerdy toy store with anime stuff and like horror movie stuff, like Star Wars stuff, bunch of nerdy awesome stuff. It's all new figures, so it's not buying or selling. Yeah, it's good stuff. Lots of toys.
There are so many things in here that I don't even know what the property is. Like, how do you keep it straight? How do you, in the time that I've been here talking to you today, people have asked you about things that I have no concept of what they're saying.
I mean, I depend on them a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they have to come in and kind of educate me on what they're doing. I try to pay attention to things that people are excited about. I try to look into, like, what the toys coming out are. Like, I try to always make sure I'm watching at least the super popular animes. Google is my best friend because there's just so much stuff to try to learn about and keep it all straight.
Do you have subscriptions to, like, Crunchyroll, or... That's literally the only thing I can say because I don't know enough about this.
I should have a Crunchyroll account, but we use Hulu, Netflix, YouTube.
Netflix
Crunchyroll,
is really
you can
good
use...
at getting stuff. Have you seen that new Godzilla 2-parter?
No, it's definitely on the list though. That and the Devilman.
I hear it's only okay.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard the animation looks cool. So
okay.
I mean, like
Did you
any
see
other
Shin Godzilla
stuff. Yes.
I loved
Same
it.
thing.
But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a Godzilla movie, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's boring and terrible, and then the action parts where you see Godzilla and he does the atomic blast are really badass.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've heard that the animated one is the same way, and then the other one I really want to take a look at is the Devilman one, which is supposed to be like super crazy violent and awesome, and the animation's supposed to be cool. So that's on Netflix too. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, there's things that people talk about when they're in Challengers that I have a peripheral knowledge of, but in here I'm completely lost.
It's a lot. It's fun, though. I mean, it's fun to figure out what the hell all of it is, because we'll get statues, and I have absolutely no idea what they're from. So then I get to go on, like, a little wiki trip and figure out what I'm selling.
What was... a gentleman just bought a very large box with a girl with, like, a robot suit with giant shoulder cans or something.
Yep.
What was that property?
So that's Console Kantai Collection.
You say console, I think of gaming console.
No, this is Kancolle.
Okay.
It's a Japanese word, definitely. But basically, they're battleship girls. So they're like half battleship, half woman, and they fight, stuff like that.
Sure.
I believe it actually started out as a free phone game.
Oh,
I don't even. Okay. There's no anime.
Huh.
It's a game.
Hey, you don't need to have a thing. You could be... Look, how many different Angry Birds movies, games, toys, things have happened that just came out of the one phone game.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we have a lot like that.
Of action figures.
We have one called Token Rambu, where it's beautiful, beautiful sword boys. Like, the statues are incredibly detailed, really beautiful statues of these pretty sword boys, and it's all a phone game.
Wow.
But, you know, they're expensive-ass statues, but people buy them because the animation is really, really fun.
I mean, that's just a conceit of being a fan of comics or toys, is that we don't like things, we love things, we obsess about things, we want representations of those things. But that's the adult version of you.
Never could.
The kid of you looks at it and says, no, I want that, and I want that, and that's what I mean. I wouldn't own a comic store if I didn't have that mentality of myself.
Yeah.
And I buy like some wrestling action figures knowing in about 2 years this is going to wind up back at the store being resold. But I still want it now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that fandom has that level to it. Even like right now I'm looking at Teenage Ninja Turtle WWE crossover figures.
Roddy Piper, come on.
Right? And I'd seen before. I wish they weren't that big. I wish they were a little bit smaller.
That would be cool, yeah.
The figures aren't huge, but the boxes are huge.
The boxes
are the same size as the 12-inch figures next to them.
Yeah.
And these figures are maybe 1.5 times a normal turtle figure. I don't know. And I thought, I kind of want those, but I don't. But I kind of do.
Yeah. Imagine me. All day long. All day long I stare at this stuff. I don't get to open it. I don't get to take it home because I'm broke.
Yeah.
So I just have to stare at the awesome, like, Gremlins box set shit that we have, or the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Like, come on, I want all of that.
But at least
RoboCop versus Terminator, I want it.
You're around it here, and technically it's yours now.
Yeah.
You just don't play with it. I can't tell you how many things that I now buy and as an adult I take home, and I don't even open.
See, I'm an opener.
I used to be an opener. All my wrestling figures are open, but I have like 5 or 6 Marvel Legends backed up because I'll open it, when I have time to experience it.
Because you have to go, you're going to nicely open your box, you're going to play with your accessories.
I make sure all the joints work well, I make sure everything bends properly. Sometimes I break them immediately because they don't. Sometimes the paint is stuck.
That's no good.
How long have you been here?
This is our 4th February.
Ooh.
It's our 4th February, yeah. Somehow.
When is your, what is your anniversary month?
July. It's like July 13th or something like that, which is nuts.
This July will be your 4th year.
Yep.
I remember a Saturday, Ashley Challenger and I were working, and Brian Brian Nakama, as I call him, came in to introduce himself and talk about the business, and he had a little gift bag he was giving like-minded stores.
With an alien figure in it, right?
Yeah, with the reaction figures, yes.
Those cool figures.
I had not heard of Nakama at the time, but Ashley already knew what it was. Like, he's like, I'm from Nakama. And she's like, oh, the toy store. I'm like, oh, yes. Make us look good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I let them interact more. Mm-hmm. And, like, it was basically like, oh, nice to meet you kind of thing from the back, because I was in the back of the store. And then we met officially and formally at the now defunct Geek Bar.
Yay!
Right? But
that was fun.
That was a great night.
Yep.
Not a great establishment.
Not a great establishment, but
we have customers who used to
very
work
mediocre,
there who say terrible things about it.
Absolutely.
Go figure.
Yeah. Terrible owner, terribly run, bad cocktails even. I'd go so far as to say bad cocktails.
Yeah, you don't have to theme everything.
Just pour
Yeah.
some fucking liquor in a cup and call it a day. You know?
Perfect. What's your address?
2504 North California Avenue, and then we are at the corner of Altgeld and California.
And that is a block and a half south of Logan and a block or 2 blocks north of Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Is that? All right.
Right, we're close to the Starbucks, which is the only Starbucks in Logan Square. So, there you go.
Do you hit it every day on the way in or not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They know my name. It's embarrassing.
Do they start your order already?
Oh, yeah. No, I go in twice, which is terrible. So the morning shift people, every couple months, they'll work another shift, and then they learn my secret shame that I go in there twice, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Dude, that's not secret shame. They probably love you for it.
They're very nice. Nakama Toys.
Mary just took a phone call where someone was asking about some pre-orders on some upcoming Revoltech figures. And that leads me into a story that, this is a follow-up from what Dal and I were talking about last week. I got into these figures late last year.
The Revoltech?
Yeah, when the Captain America was first...
Up for pre-order.
Yeah, I'm like, look at that, that's so great. Then I went back and saw everything else they did. So I went on eBay and found a bunch of foreign accounts that were selling these for dirt cheap.
Uh-oh.
I checked every account to make sure they had high seller ratings, high feedback, people that had bought the products before.
Okay.
So I ordered 5. I ordered Spider-Gwen,
Nice.
Iron Man, Deadpool, Spider-Man, Wolverine.
Nice.
I did not order Magneto and Venom.
Okay.
And I think there might have been a Hulk. I'm not sure. I got the Iron Man, immediately broke it, trying to pull his hand out and replace it with a different one.
It's that damn Japanese plastic.
Right?
Oh my god.
I got the Spider-Gwen. She was much better. Like, the joints are a little bit weak, but these are potentially $60 to $80 figures, and I was getting them all for less than $20 a piece. It's
pretty awesome.
Still, like, not used, in packaging, whatever. Dal has a theory that these are companies that are factories next to factories, so when someone's doing the official ones, someone takes the plans and goes next door and makes knockoff ones.
Maybe.
But they have similar packaging, whatever.
Yeah.
So 3 of them never came.
Oh.
And, well, one of them said, hey, it's going to take until, like, January. Fine. Then I realized it's not January. So I realized this last week while Dal and I were on the podcast. I'm like, I got to look into it. So I did look into it. Those 3 figures I never got, all 3 of those accounts are closed. And all 3 of those accounts now have a ton of negative feedback all along the lines of either never got it, they don't communicate, or all I got were some computer cables when I ordered these figures.
That's fantastic.
And they're all dead accounts.
Yeah.
So my buddy Rick said that you can still try to open a case. Like when you go to eBay and say, hey, there's a problem, they want you to contact the seller.
Sure.
Well, I can't because that seller doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I will be getting that Captain America when it comes out.
Which I must say, that is why having a toy store like Nakama Toys is kind of handy.
Right.
Because we go through all that bullshit for you. And all you have to do is come in and grab it, and it is yours, and it is not a bootleg. It's not going to fall apart. It's not weird packaging. It's not going to get lost in the ocean for 3 weird months with no updating. Because, that's always my thing. Anytime I've ever gotten anything that's shipped from China, it's on a boat for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yep.
So you're like, what the, Where is it? All right. I hope it comes. So yeah, we do all that for you.
And you do pre-orders.
We'd love to do pre-orders.
And you do web sales. What's your website?
www.nakamatoys.com. NAKAMATOYS.
Here's a question. Let's say somebody buys a Marvel Legends, because you sell Marvel Legends as well. Let's say they take it home and they break it getting it out of the package. And they come back and say, hey, this broke getting out of the package. What do you do?
I throw it in their face and I call them a punk bitch. That's what I do. Or, more realistically, we can't replace them, but we do give them all the information to go through Hasbro. Yeah, so we would hook them up with Hasbro. And get it.
On the back of every Hasbro package is a number you can call, and their customer service is good enough that they will replace it. Because that happens to us, and people want to, like, oh, can you get me a new one?
Yeah.
Well, no, we have to buy these in cases, and maybe we don't have this figure. But more importantly, you can get this figure replaced.
Yeah.
That's the thing people don't understand. They just think, like,
exactly.
we can't do that. So I was ultimately I was asking you just to see if it jived with what we did.
Yeah,
and
no,
it
that's
is,
what we do.
Especially the punk-ass bitch part.
Exactly, absolutely. Sometimes if it's something that we have in the store and it's going to be really hard for them to get a replacement, we'll help out and we'll do it that way. But most of the time, it's easier for customers almost to go through the customer service and get a replacement than it would be for us to do it for them.
Yeah, honestly, I think that
It's
the customer
faster
service at the
sometimes.
companies believe the consumer more than they do the retailer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for the most part, so yeah.
We just had that with the Black Panther toy. That's why I
How are
asked
those
you.
looking? Are they fun?
They look
haven't
great.
seen
Like,
any.
I bought a Black Panther last year from a different wave.
Uh-huh.
Now they have a lot of different ones. But yeah,
Did you get Marvel Legends or like the Pops or what?
the Legends. Yeah.
Okay, I've seen the Funko Pops look cute. Those look
Funko
super
Pops
fun.
always look cute.
They do. That's kind of.
I don't know. Like, just this morning, we were doing pre-orders for Crypto, Superman's dog, and Popeye. Popeye the Sailor Man.
All right.
And I was working with Ken Challenger today, and he's like, "Really, Popeye?" I'm like, "Look, Popeye's had comics, so he counts."
He does.
And we have wrestlers, we have weirdly James Bond villains and things like that we think are in the enough of a pop culture lexicon to count.
We usually need the crossover.
Yeah, but Crypto definitely, but Popeye, yeah, man, Popeye counts. He's like, yeah, but who would buy that? I'm like, who would buy any of them, man?
People, there's
I mean,
somebody for everything.
Right?
Yep.
And that's not a knock against Pops because I own way too many myself.
They wouldn't sell them if people didn't buy them.
Right. Yeah.
They're smarter than us, definitely.
They're so adorable.
They're very cute.
I just wound up buying from Challengers 3 different Batgirls because we had them for a while and they didn't move. Batgirl from the Adam West 1966 TV series,
Fun.
Batgirl from the animated series,
Nice.
and the current comic book incarnation.
Very
and they
nice.
look great all 3 together on a shelf.
Animated series #1.
Just this morning we got in Teen Titans Go, Starfire dressed as Batgirl.
Fun.
And I thought,
Uh-oh, you're in trouble.
does it go to with mine? Because like they did a line of Impopsters where Batgirl was dressed as different characters,
That's so
but that doesn't count because she's not in a Batgirl costume. But
Okay.
this is Starfire as Batgirl, so I'm torn. I didn't buy it yet.
I feel like
because it
you're
just
gonna
came
have
in
to buy
today.
it.
I don't, because it's a different person under the mask.
Well, then the next question, though, is, like, how far is that going to go? Like, if you allow an inch, like...
Right, and
you
I also
know,
don't know how many more they're going to make, but I don't
Yeah.
want to find out the hard way.
That's the problem with collecting,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, like they're doing the 8-bit ones. Like if you've seen those for the Turtles, like as if they were made with tiny Legos.
That's
but
fun.
they're pops.
Oh, awesome.
And I think I
I've
saw
seen that. I'll look it
Batgirl
up.
one, but I don't want that. That doesn't fit to my aesthetic.
No, you gotta keep it
Yeah,
tight.
yeah.
You gotta keep that collection going.
As Xavier Wood says, keep it tight.
There we go. He's my buddy.
Also, wrestling figures available at Nakama.
Did you see the Kenny Omega one?
Yeah, it's ugly.
I love it.
Do you? We're talking about the
Yes.
little chibi guy.
one.
Yeah,
It was great.
yeah. They did somebody
it.
before, like Naito or somebody
They did
before
Naito,
him.
yeah.
And they're too expensive. At least
They are expensive.
for us. They're like $55 retail.
Yeah, we're not going to get
Yeah.
any to stock. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll pre-order those sons of bitches, but like, I want the Kenny Omega really bad.
Oh man,
so we're going to pay wholesale cost for it and get me one.
You've been to Challengers. You know that we have wrestling figures up of people that have been in the store. Well,
Which is awesome.
Figures Inc. does Mego not knockoffs, but like officially licensed Mego-esque figures, and they do a whole line of Ring of Honor figures.
Oh, fun.
And they do Chris Hero, they do the Young Bucks,
Nice.
who have been to the store, but I don't have figures of. But they're also Mego size, which is like 9 inches, 8 inches, or 9
Okay.
inches, so they will tower over
That's
everybody
a good figure.
else.
Yeah, that's big.
And but they're also $30 a figure, $70 if you want to get both Young Bucks, like $35 or maybe more. And like they're out of normal Chris Hero, but they've got like different outfit Chris Hero because they do variants for some of them. And they did a Young Bucks 2-pack, which is unavailable, but you can buy Nick or Matt separate. So, and
They super kick?
they're posable up to super
All right,
kick.
they
Yeah,
are super kick.
super kick party included.
Are they wearing fringe?
I don't know for sure, but they are cloth outfits because they're Mego-esque.
Nice.
But here's my problem: A, I want them for the store.
Definitely.
B, I want them for myself,
Definitely.
and I can't justify buying 2 of each.
You are in Nakama Toys. This is the land of buying 2 separate figures. So you can keep one in the box but one out.
No,
so
I want
you
to
can
open them
choose.
both so I can play with because I play with all my wrestling figures. Those don't say in the package.
Yeah, of course.
But just knowing they're up on a shelf,
I too.
like,
Bite the bullet. It's not even. I'm not even. Well, I guess I'm pressuring you to spend money at your own store.
Sure.
So that's good for everybody. You get 2 figures, and then you also get money. You don't.
I don't.
You lose money.
I get
That's
2
how that
figures,
works.
though.
Yeah, but you do get.
I get 6 figures
4
in this
figures.
equation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty kick-ass to me.
And then I figure if I just wait long enough, somebody will make the figures normal size, I guess. And also, I would love a Kenny Omega figure.
Yeah.
Just not that one.
I mean, I just like how big his head is.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Kenny Omega's
Who was there was a company a couple years ago that did an Okada
Oh yeah.
and then a Nakamura. They call them figures, but they're just
seen
figure-sized
a Nakamura.
PVC statues.
Okay, I've seen they did a
blister carded.
Neat.
And there was going to be a third person who I don't remember who it was, but they never wound up producing it. And we ordered them all for the store, but the Okadas were canceled because there wasn't enough to import.
Man.
And
It's Okada.
right.
Big
I mean,
number
I
one.
eventually wound up buying one.
Right in
I went to you guys first, but
Nice.
Brian told me that the imports were canceled for the country, so nobody got them.
Gotcha.
And then the
That sucks.
Nakamura, we ordered a bunch and we got one.
That sucks.
Yeah, but then I wound up letting a customer have that one because at that point Nakamura was gonna sign or whatever. And anyway, there's like 5 different WWE Nakama
Now,
figures
yeah.
already.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they do a realistically styled Kenny Omega figure, I want that.
I just want cloth hair or like real hair so it can be brushed, like a little
Right.
mini
Well,
brush.
you have the same color hair.
And I
You
can
can
braid it.
just cut some of yours and
Get his
attach
little,
it to it.
His little braids under his mullet or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
He's the only man with a mullet I've ever been into, but damn it, Kenny Omega, he's hot.
So to recap, Nakama
Thanks.
Toys is
2504 North California, 60647, and then we're at the corner of Altgeld and California.
California Blue Line stop, the closest.
Yes.
Is there a bus line that's close as well?
California bus.
What's the number?
52.
Okay.
Yep. Fullerton bus. Don't know that number. And then the Diversity bus is 76. So we're really close to a bunch of good lines. Milwaukee
Excellent.
bus.
NakamaToys.com.
Yes.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.